Hello?
Hello, Max.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man? My name is Tim Amoroso from No Cover.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Well, thank you. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for being in our magazine. And we'd love to support someone like you, who is a true god in the metal industry.
Right on, man. Appreciate that.
No problem. All right. So you guys have an album coming out, right?
Yeah.
I would like to know about that album. Like, what was your mindset while going into writing this album, this new album?
Well, we wanted to kick things a notch a little bit, kick it up a notch. So we thought about first thing would be really cool. It would be a really cool producer, somebody that can really step this thing up with us together. And we thought of Josh Wilbur would be perfect. I worked with him on Killer Be Kill, and I love what he did with that record. And I love the stuff he does with, Gojira, Lamb of God, Trivium. So it was like, we thought he would be perfect for this kind of record we had in mind. And on my end was a bit like, I had this kind of idea throughout the years. I kind of been mixing a lot of the styles, and the early Soulfly was more tribal, where the latest some of my records are a little bit heavier, like the last Cavalera and Soulfly, Archangel or Enslaved. And I thought about, would be cool if we have a record that has both things on it, has the tribal thing and the thrash thing. So this is what this record is, and I'm kind of just jokingly been calling it tribal death thrash, because that's kind of what it feels like to me. Because there's some songs that have a lot of real awesome tribal stuff that's kind of like the first Soulfly, or even like Prophecy, or even Roots. And then there's stuff that's just total cool, fast, death metal, thrash metal stuff that I love. So it's a combination of that, but also goes beyond. There's some stuff that's kind of like a mix of everything I listen to, because my taste is very diverse. I go from everything from doom metal to progressive metal to black metal, death metal. I listen to a lot of different stuff. So I try to put as much different stuff as I could on the record. There's even a song that sounds like Motorhead, which is really almost like a homage, like a tribute to Motorhead being one of my favorite bands of all time. So yeah, man, it's a cool record. I think we hit it pretty good. We hit the nail in the head, and it's this tribal thrash idea. I think it's cool. It's unique, and it's very. It feels very natural to me to be doing that, because I've been involved with this tribal stuff from the beginning. So to create this kind of record for Soulfly, to me, I won't say it was easy, but it was comfortable. I felt like I was around elements that made me comfortable to work with.
Yeah. A few questions based off of your response on that one. One of them is, you said that something was like a sort of an homage to Motorhead, and I remember, hearing a story about you, getting Lemmy pissed off at you because you're spilling champagne on him. Is Motorhead like your favorite of all time?
No, I don't have a favorite of all time. There are classics like that I love, like Black Sabbath, Deep Purple. It's amazing, and
do you have a favorite subgenre?
Metal. General. I love metal. I'm a total nerd when it comes to metal. Like I'm very excited for. I kind of like still kind of like leave a bit kind of on the underground. I like a lot of more extreme stuff. So I try to find a lot of these bands, and
how do you go about that? How do you go about like searching for for new music? Because there's a lot of people that I speak with, and they always say, yeah, I like to still look for new music, but the reality is how they go about it is not true. However, like I've seen many of interview with you, and that is something that you are, that's something you really do. And all right, go ahead, and we'll just start there.
Well, in the past, it's different now because we have the internet now, and it's a different world. But in the past, like if you want to, like how I found out about the bands, I kind of wanted to hear more. You kind of look at the back of the albums, and you have the thanks list, and you go on the thanks list of those bands, like the Death record, and then you see all the other bands that the Death guys are thanking. Or you go to the Morbid Angel record, or you go to the, Possessed record. Going on the back of those records, you found 30 more bands that would be to be really cool to discover, and it was kind of like that, and it's still word of mouth. You hear a friend telling you about, and you go check it out, and it still is like kind of like that today. I mean, I heard of Nails through Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan. He's the one that told me about Nails. My sons tell me stuff all the time, especially Igor, because Igor is really into a lot of extreme stuff. He's told me about like Genocide Pact and Full of Hell, and a lot of stuff like that. That home record that I didn't knew much about it. So it's cool to have that. But I also do some stuff on my own where I discover bands like Necrot and Bozer, which is kind of like Bandcamp. It's really good for that kind of stuff. Spotify is okay,
Yeah.
And then, my favorite is actually Bandcamp because you get a lot of underground stuff, like you don't hear from anywhere else. You find a lot of cool stuff. And then what I do, which I find, when I like a band a lot, and then I try to get in touch with them, I get in contact with them, and try to get them to, get a shirt out of them or something to wear to promote them or something, and then sometimes you get to take them on tour, which was the case of Immolation, Full of Hell last year. Suffocation also, when Soulfly took them out, was great. So yeah, it's such a huge world. It's a huge universe of metal. There's so many different stuff out there, but I just love it. I think it's I'm a metalhead for life, man. That's the way it is. That's how it's gonna be. There's no way changing that, and I'm totally okay with that. Like I love it actually.
When I was growing up, that was my dream. I love to discover something new, something that hasn't been. And back when I was growing up, you can go to a record store, but they don't have them no more. And in these record stores, you can open up and listen to any song you want. So I would, get a list of like 50 bands that I heard on the underground, and I would go out to, the record store, and they would let you preview them there. And so, and I used to do what you did, like, go to the thank you spot and then just write down more bands. I didn't make a lot of money when I was a kid. I had $15 every 2 weeks is how much I would make, and that's how much one CD cost when I was growing up. Yeah,
but I mean that's the part of the fun of it, man. I mean, school, like to discover new stuff, and I know it changed from when we were around, from when we started. I used to go to Cogumelo Records in Brazil. That's where our hangout spot, and we stay there all day, listen to records, bugging the owner,
Yeah.
And, he kind of let us stay there. We kind of became almost like a second home.
I ended up making a radio show.
Cool, man. Today I still enjoy it the same as I don't go to a record store or nothing. I mean, sometimes on tour I go. Me and Igor, whenever we have a chance to go to a record store together, that's always fun. That's always really cool because that takes us back to our teenage years, in Brazil. That's always fun.
I end up a few years later creating a radio show, like a podcast, and every week we have 2-3 different bands come on, and they perform live. Like, I literally transformed my house into a studio.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I love music, and you know, I didn't know I can't play music for shit, man. I tried so much, so I was like, well, the second best thing is to have them perform on a radio show. I can talk, you know.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I always like a lot of this. I guess it's like unorthodox kind of things that you can sometimes you get. We did a couple of those, you know, sometimes on tour. There's a French radio that me and Rizzo and a couple of times we did like acoustic versions of some of the songs, and that was kind of cool. That was pretty interesting.
You know,
did a couple of those Sepultura years also.
Rizzo's my cousin.
What's that?
Rizzo, he's my cousin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I interviewed him for his solo project that came out a couple months back, and we end up finding out that we're cousins through the interview.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love him, man. You know, he's such a great player and a great dude. You know.
Yeah.
He's been there with me forever now. Like I probably play with him longer than anybody else I have ever played, not including my brother, of course. But yeah, he's solid, man. On you can always count on him. Live, he's 110% every night. He's great, and you know, you hear him play. You know, he's such a great guitar player, and it's just great having him in the band, man. You know, he's a great part of Soulfly, and I'm very happy that we bonded for all these years, and the bond's still going. You know, it's strong. The stuff he did on the new record, it's freaking amazing. You know,
I can't wait.
He always surprises me, which is great. You know, and I'm always like excited when I go do a new record with Rizzo, because I know there'll be some crazy shit that he's gonna come up with. That I'll be like, what the hell is that, man? You know?
Yeah.
And it's cool because he jokes about it. Like, oh, that sounds like a video game. He's like, he makes a guitar solo, and he's like, oh, so that sounds like I'm playing Nintendo video game. I'm like, dude, you just created this badass solo, and you're joking that saying it sounds like a video game. You're nuts, man. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. We got a really cool band now. I think Zion is great. You know, this is his third record with me. He's grown a lot, especially on this new record. He did great. Like, his drumming is really, really much more powerful. Still very, very energetic, out of control, but it's really, really cool to hear him with a good production like Josh Wilbur production on his drums. It's really, really amazing. And we have Mike, you know, that you should be in Havoc, you know, killer bass player. So we got a real solid band now, man. It's fun to have a band you get excited to go on tour, because, you know, the guys are all solid and the shows are going to be great.
Yeah. I heard through the grapevine that you have over, and this is probably under-exaggerating, 300 pairs of headphones.
Not as much as that. Probably like 150.
The funny
Some
thing,
of them are real kind of crappy ones, but I'm trying to get as much as good ones as I can. They're kind of expensive, you know.
Yeah. Here's the thing, okay? I am the same way. And so when I heard this, I was like, and because I take my music so seriously, and that's like, your headphones are like your spaceship to the world that you're about to go into with your music. And it's like collecting cars. You know, if you're a car person, then you want all the best cars. And if you're a music guy, then you want to listen with the best headphones. You want to be taken away from this world and to be brought into that artist world, you know?
Yeah. That's kind of like why I started the collection of headphones. It was a bit like that. And, well, kind of like also was kind of like, I seen people collecting all different stuff, and I was thinking that I never seen nobody collecting headphones. So I thought, well, that's something I can start. That would be kind of cool. And so I started buying them and just kind of putting it in on a duffel bag. And then when I had a bunch, I think I had like 40 of them, I was like, all right, it's time for them to go to the wall. So my wife, I think she went shopping or something, went to the grocery store. I got a hammer and a nail, and I put all of them on my wall. When she came back, she almost had a heart attack. Like, looks like freaking Guitar Center in here, you know? It's like, wow, that's my side of the wall. It's gonna be headphones, you know. That's how it is. You got your side, you can put whatever you want, you know. Like you have.
Yeah, I tried that
But
shit.
she just laughed, and it's totally cool. But it looks badass. Got all of them on the wall. Now, it does kind of look like a Guitar Center. When you go to Guitar Center, you see all the headphones on the wall. But I totally agree with you, man. In fact, like I ask people about it, like what's the good headphone to get, and you know, I have a couple limited editions. One, I have a Motorhead one. It's a limited edition. I have a Rammstein one. It's made by Beyerdynamic, which is a German company that's great. I have this awesome one called Blue headphone. They have like amplifier on it.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of always my problem, was like they're not loud enough, you know. So I was talking to a friend, and my friend's like, "Well, you need an amplifier." So then I ended up buying a Beyerdynamic amplifier now that I use with the headphones. You know, when you listen to music like that, like all the time, and you're such a freak like that, you try to get the best you can, you know. So that became kind of my obsession, and it's kind of fun to get. And I don't care, like, I mean, I try to get really cool ones, but sometimes it's cool to get some crappy ones. That I have one that's Walking Dead. I don't even watch Walking Dead, but you know, my friend gave it to me, and it says Walking Dead on it, so I was like, oh, cool. You know, I have one that I stole it from the airplane, from the Emirates, when we fly the Emirates airplane. Mm-hmm. So it says Emirates on the side, you know. So it's kind of it's a wild collection, you know. I'm going to keep at it, you know, as much as I can. I have a couple with the Brazilian flag one. My brother gave me one. It's a Beats, which I don't like it very much. But it looks cool because it's got the Brazilian flag on it. So yeah, it's a pretty cool collection.
Yeah, I collect. I mean, not only do I collect headphones, you know, but I also collect, like, you know, action figures, like sports action figures or wrestling. And then, like you did, but my wife went to the store one day, and I was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna put these up. And then she came home. She was like, why do you have to make our house look cheap? There's all these toys.
Exactly. Right.
This isn't KB Toy Store.
Yep, you know, I know the feeling, man.
This is my house too, you know.
Yeah. And it's the funny thing is, like, now that I have them on the wall, sometimes the grandkids come and they just, hey, Grandpa, can I borrow a headphone? Like, yeah, okay, but bring it back, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sometimes I go to their house and there's my headphones in their house. I'm like, give that back right now, God damn it. Trying to steal my goddamn headphones, you know.
People are wondering about Kill or Be Killed. You know, it was pretty much, you know, one of those super groups, you know, and a lot of my friends that, you know, that are big fans of you guys, they just want Kill or Be Killed. Like, is it ever going to happen again? Is there any plans for it to happen again, or is it just that perfect piece of art just left there?
No, we actually, it's funny you mentioned, we actually practicing tomorrow.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, the guys are flying here to Phoenix tomorrow, and we're going to go to our Soulfly place of practice, which is like this big warehouse that we have all our gear there. So they're flying in, and they rented a house. So, yeah, we're going to finally get some new stuff. We're going to start working tomorrow, and we try to write as much as we can. Really excited. I think we're going to definitely have a new Killer Be Killed next year, man. I can say that pretty much 99% sure it's going to happen.
Heck yeah. Well,
which is great because, I mean, this year is Soulfly year. I mean, I have a new record, which I'm totally excited about it. I mean, it is by far some of my favorite Soulfly stuff I ever done. The whole tribal thrash thing, and just totally... I don't know why I didn't think about that earlier, but it's cool that came now, you know. So I love the production. I love what Josh did. Eddie Ron is doing the cover now. He did the Archangel cover, and he's such a great artist. So we got a pretty cool, nasty team working, and we're going on tour with Nayo in like 10 days from now. that's going to be an awesome tour. I love both bands. I think the fans deserve that, and I think it's a great package for the fans. Those two bands are really unique in their own way, and I think to put them together is totally awesome. And we're both commemorating 20 years of our records, so it's going to be a great tour. A lot of the shows are selling out, real quick, and it's going to be fun, man. I just got done with the Nailbomb run. It was great. We had a great time. So just looking forward to really travel a lot, tour a lot this year, and can't wait for that next Soulfly to hit it. But at the meantime, I am starting working on Killer Be Killed tomorrow, so hopefully we have some stuff done, enter the studio sometime. I'm hoping maybe end of the year we can actually go in the studio and record some and continue maybe next year and have a record out next year. That's the perfect plan for me, at least I think in my mind.
That's awesome. When and by who was the last time you were inspired, truly inspired musically?
Bozer, by far. Bozer is like my favorite band, like probably right now. Can't get enough. They're so original, so creative, so cool, different. They're only two guys. I said that, and that's saying something when I said they're the best thing that came out of Switzerland since Celtic Frost. I totally put my stamp on it. It is. I mean, just go listen to their record, Hero. It's the best record of. It was released like 2 years ago, but it's still, even today, some of my favorite stuff. There's a couple of other records that came out that really surprised me that I thought was really good. Gate Creeper was really great. They kind of just brought back the whole Entomb sound of the 90s, that, heavy metal two-pedal sound, and the Genocide Pact's new record, it's really fucking good. Suffocation's last record is great. Immolation's record is great. I'm really excited to hear New Nile and New Behemoth. Hopefully they'll come out this year also. Yeah, man, like I'm like I told you, I'm a nerd, metalhead, always trying to get to listen to
besides
some of the new stuff. I listen to a lot of metal all day long, don't get enough.
Besides music and metal, is there anything like that you're very interested in, that just intrigues you and get your blood pumping? Not necessarily as, music does, because that's very hard, but just in general.
Yeah, football.
Oh, whoa, American football?
Yeah, soccer, of course. I'm a huge soccer fan coming from Brazil, and now June, July is going to be the World Cup, so I'm going to be totally into it. Super excited and, cheering for Brazil, of course.
Uh-huh.
Brazil's got a real good chance. We got a real good team this year. But American football has conquered my heart, man, and I fell hard for it. I love it.
What's your team?
We have Detroit Lions.
Detroit, huh?
Yeah, which is kind of like a lot of people told me don't choose them. They're gonna lose it. You're gonna get ready to lose a lot. But it's kind of what I like about them. That kind of like, never-ending passion. Even though you lose a lot, you still never give up. You're like underdog,
I'm a Buffalo Bill fan, man, so I know.
Yeah, and it's cool, man. I'm trying to get. I have a bunch of Lion shirts and jackets. I've been to the Ford Field. We have a friend that works with them and knew that I was a fan, so they gave me a private tour of the whole field.
Oh,
went
shit.
to the dressing rooms. Hopefully I get to meet some of them. I heard some of them are metal fans, and some of the guys that play, because I know a lot of football players are metal fans, which is great,
Yeah.
So hopefully, find out more about them, get to meet the team or something. That would be super cool.
Are you
we
excited
met a
about
couple.
draft day?
What's that?
Are you excited about the draft day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get too crazy. Like my grandson is more into the whole thing. Like the draft, I don't know. I don't get that excited for it. I don't know. Just like it's maybe because we don't have a good position on it. but I don't get that too excited. But it's cool. I mean, I'm more excited for to actually when it real starts, when the season starts, and we actually have tickets for the Cardinals, which is kind of like our second team, because it's from here. And I actually go to the stadium a lot. Whenever I'm here, if I'm not on tour, I take my kids, and I've been recognized in the stadium quite a lot. Like almost every weekend I go, there's always a fan that goes by and like, oh, what the fuck you doing here, man? Like, I'm coming to the game, man. But yeah, it's cool. It's fun. I like that a lot, and I like a lot of. Me and my wife were super fans of like murder shows on TV. We are watching Ozark right now. We just finished The Killing. We watching Homeland all the time, and we did the whole Game of Thrones thing. Of course, like Breaking Bad, Dexter. I love all these series they're doing right now. I think that's great, man. It's almost like better than movies because you really get hooked on it.
It is. It takes you more through an emotional roller coaster than a movie.
And you get to stay with it a little longer. Like we watched the whole Fargo on tour.
Uh-huh.
The new Fargo they did for TV was like three seasons, and I freaking love that, man. That thing was so cool. And there's one called True Detective with Woody Harrelson. That was great too. That was a lot of fun. So that's kind of like me and my wife's thing. At night we watch movies, even on tour. Like when the show is over, the show concert is over, we're in the back of the bus.
Uh-huh.
We're always watching something, one of those series. So that's kind of like our thing. Apart from that, we like to do like visit museums and historic places. We travel so much, there's so much of the world. I mean, that's one of the coolest thing about being a band is traveling.
What? I was in the military in 2000. I was in the military for 12 years, and I remember like 2004. I went to Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, and so I went in exactly what you do. Like I love to see museums. I love to see old churches. Like I love to. I want to see how people live and how old these creations are. A piece of art. And one day I paid for a tour, and I go on a tour, and like we park in front of. It was in between. There was a big old cathedral, and then across the street was. And it wasn't really a big street. It was sort of like a paved walkway. Across from there, it was a restaurant. And when we arrived, they shut down. Like we arrived, and maybe like 15 minutes later, they shut down. Like it was like a cul-de-sac, and they shut it down. You couldn't go in, you couldn't go out. And then they started setting up a stage. And I'm like, whoa, it's probably like 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And so we go inside, we eat, and then we come outside. And we were probably gone maybe 35 minutes. There had to have been like 5,000 people there. And then we waited another like 25 minutes, and it was a metal show in the middle of a cul-de-sac right next to a cathedral. And it made me fall in love. Like this city loves music that much that they will shut down the normal life to celebrate someone's art. I thought it was just fucking awesome.
Yeah. Brazil, we have a lot of stuff like that. Happens all the time. Which I think is really cool. I do stuff like that from time to time. I mean, there was we went to north of Africa, and me and my wife and we got invited to. It was like really